Good evening. Welcome to APTN National News. I'm Dennis Ward. The Kamloops Iqaluit welcomed Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to Kamloops on Monday. The PM hoped to make amends after ignoring two previous invites to attend events to honor the 215 children that were found near the former residential school. APTN's Tina House was there and has this story.
It's been nearly 5 months since 215 children were found in shallow, unmarked graves near the former Kamloops Indian residential school. The discovery sent shockwaves around the globe, and since then, dozens of events to honor those that didn't come home have been organized. Leaders, family members, and people from around the world have came here to pay their respects. Everyone except one person, the Prime Minister of Canada. September 30th was the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, but rather than attend the event, he was on a beach vacation in Tofino, BC. That decision caused backlash and outrage. Cookbee Chief Roseanne Casimir says it was a journalist who informed them about why the Prime Minister was not at the September 30th event.
It was the shock, the anger and sorrow and disbelief was palpable in our community and rippled around the world.
But today, he's here to ask forgiveness and to move forward.
I'm sorry I wasn't here on September 30th. It was a mistake, and I understand that it made a very difficult day even harder. You didn't have to invite me back. I know that. Well, thank you for doing so.
Bonaparte First Nation Chief Frank Antoine spoke on behalf of his mother Marie and her friend Diane Sandy to formally ask for a direct apology from the Prime Minister. Both of them attended the Kamloops Indian Residential School and still suffer the trauma they endured as children.
1943 to 1956, she was up there. And she's here today, and thank her being here today, I wouldn't be here. So as a leader in my community, we would like to thank you. Use your words wisely, but use them rightfully, please. Because I would love you to apologize to these two ladies and the rest of our elders in our community and all the people that suffered in residential schools.
I apologize. I should have been here with you. I am sorry I wasn't.
Cookbee Wayne Christian says, despite all that's been done to Indigenous people through the residential schools, they are resilient.
It's a weapon strong. It's who we are. That's why we have such a large territory, why they invaded and used these schools in our territory to take our children hostage and commit genocide upon us.
And the horror of what happened here still haunts Leslie LaRue, an intergenerational survivor, who, unbeknownst to her, played in the apple orchard where the children were buried.
Knowing that as a child I had literally ran over kids' graves and stuff like that, you're taught not to do that, and when I look back on that, it breaks my heart because we didn't know, and we didn't know that we were running over children's graves. We didn't know, and it makes me sick to my stomach to think that we did that.
The Prime Minister made some commitments to the community, but says he knows there is still a lot of work to do in building relationships.
We will be working with you on what you've said the community needs, from funding the Healing Centre, to working with you on an Elders Lodge, to continuing to get answers and closure, and ensuring the proper commemoration to help the community and so many others grieve and heal.
And finally, it was Ashley Michelle's turn to talk to the Prime Minister. She's an intergenerational survivor.
I'm a proud Indigenous mother, and I come from a long line of strong, independent, successful Secwepemc women. I am hurting. My heart aches for the mothers who never got to see their babies again. My heart aches for the children who were scared and lonely and just wanted to go home but didn't make it. My heart aches for the children who were robbed of their childhood, culture, language, and traditions.
As BC AFN Regional Chief Terry Chigi so eloquently told the Prime Minister, it's enough of political theatrics and platitude and time for real action. Time will tell if the government will really embrace true reconciliation. Tina House, APTN National News, to Kamloops to Sequepum.
Thanks, Tina. Overseas now, where Governor General Mary May Simon is now in Frankfurt for day 2 of her first international trip. And already it's been a busy day. Earlier this morning, Simon attended a wreath-laying ceremony in honor of victims of war and tyranny. This wraps up her time in Berlin, which included a meeting with outgoing Chancellor Angela Merkel. Later today, Simon will open the prestigious Frankfurt Book Fair, where Canada is the guest of honor. We'd like to hear what you think about the Governor General's trip to Germany. Here's how you can continue that conversation. You can send your emails to news@aptn.ca or leave a comment on aptnnews.ca. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. It's been a week since Iqaluit residents haven't been able to drink their tap water due to fuel in the water supply. The community of nearly 8,000 has been using bottled water and the local river since October 12th. This is an Airbus A330, one of the biggest commercial aircraft in the world, filled with bottled water at Iqaluit's airport today. Nearly 300,000 liters of bottled water have been shipped to Iqaluit in the last week, and another 850,000 have been pumped out of a local river. Iqaluit's mayor says they still don't know how long until residents can turn the taps back on.
They're still flushing out the system right now. It's taking longer than we thought. The update was supposed to come out yesterday, Monday, for what was happening with the flushing, and we're just not there right now. And to tell you the honest truth, we're at a point where we just don't know right now.
To northern BC now, where the Iqaluit First Nation is calling for immediate changes to forestry management. They say forestry companies in the province must obtain their consent before doing any logging. APTN's Lee Wilson has more.
The Iqaluit First Nation held a press conference in Prince George on Friday, stating their old-growth forests have nearly been wiped out because of decades of logging. They also released a documentary with elders and members explaining traditional foods and plants and wildlife have been devastated. Iqaluit's chief, Priscilla Mueller, declared logging will no longer continue without their consent.
Today we are announcing that these practices will no longer take place in our territory. We further announce that the province of BC and forest licensees must obtain our free, prior, and informed consent before proceeding with any forestry or other resource development in Iqaluit's territory.
Located west of Prince George, Iqaluit's territory is over 1 million hectares in size, with an estimated 1,000 members. Their leadership says they are not against forestry, but want sustainability, including no more clear-cutting. They also want the province to work with them to develop rehabilitation and restoration projects, and include Iqaluit and other Carrier-Sakani nations and the resource management process.
I need a land base to exercise my rights. As an Indigenous woman who has a responsibility and direct relationship with the land, we can't move forward on a path that might not exist in my daughter's lifetime or even mine.
The Ministry of Forests responded to APTN with an email statement that they are working with all Carrier-Sakani First Nations on forestry. For the past 3 years, CFSN and the province have attempted to work collaboratively with forest companies to resolve the cumulative effect issues through voluntary deferral of important old growth. The process with companies has not resulted in the change the province and CSFN are seeking. We are now working on a government-to-government basis to resolve the issue. Iqaluit First Nations stated they want to return to their traditional practice, culture, and language, and they cannot make that journey without the forest to teach the next generation those ways. They want the final say of how land is used in their territory.
Starting today, things in our territory will be done our way. the right way. The best traditions of the past combined with the best of forest and resource management practices of today.
Lee Wilson, APTN National News, Prince George.
6 years after the death of Stacey DeBungy, the Ontario Provincial Police has announced they will pick up the investigation from the Thunder Bay Police Service. Details and reaction coming up after the break. Welcome back. Ontario's Attorney General has called for a new investigation into the death of Stacey DeBungy. This comes 6 years after the 41-year-old man from Rainy River First Nation was found dead in Thunder Bay. DeBungy was found in the McIntyre River on October 19th of 2015. Police ruled out foul play before an autopsy was performed, declaring his death as non-criminal. An investigation done by the Office of the Independent Police Review Director said the investigation was inadequate. Sean Glassford, an OPP inspector, said in an online statement, Mr. DeBungy's family, friends, community, and the public deserve to know what happened. The OPP has set up a tip line for people to call with information. Joining us today to speak for the DeBungy family is their lawyer, Julian Faulkner. Julian, thanks for being with us. Can you tell us how the DeBungy family is taking this news?
Well, first of all, I should tell you that they were notified some months ago that the matter was being transferred from the Broken Trust OIPRD investigation team to become a formal criminal investigation. So they've known for some 4 months that this was in the works. There's some relief that finally some serious investigators are going to take a look at this. But frankly, it's been 6 years since Stacey DeBungy died in suspicious circumstances. It's been, of those 6 years, the Thunder Bay Police for 5.5 years have basically obfuscated and covered up their failings. The OIPRD found in a report that their investigation was racist and incompetent, and yet, surprisingly, Chief Hoff held on, that is the chief of the Thunder Bay Police Service, held on to this case. And it was only when the family wrote in August and then December again of 2020, insisting on the matter being investigated by the Broken Trust OIPRD team, that it was sent over to them. And then within 3 months, they realized it had criminal implications. So what were the Thunder Bay Police covering up over 5 years? And it really begs the question how this service can continue to exist, frankly.
Given all that, Julian, and like you mentioned, it's been 6 years, why decide to revisit this case now?
So I can't speak for the OPP investigators, and I can't speak for the Office of the Chief Coroner. What I can tell you, having been involved literally close to from day one in this matter, dating all the way back to Stacey's death in 2015, there were things that the Thunder Bay Police simply were blind to and were incompetent in how they did business. And this is not just the case of one death. The Thunder Bay Police Service has systematically ignored Indigenous deaths and have systematically obstructed, frankly, efforts to get to the bottom of many of these deaths. And so they sat on this case for over 5 years claiming, you're not going to believe this, they claimed that the reason they couldn't reinvestigate the death of Stacey DeBungy was that officers were up for discipline charges for bungling the investigation in the first place. So they gave priority to the discipline matters involving the officer's incompetence in not investigating Stacey DeBungy's death as an excuse not to investigate the death. I'm sorry that this sounds torture, but that's how utterly ludicrous the world of the Thunder Bay Police is. So finally, the coroner's office and the Broken Trust team gave in to the request by the family in December of 2020 to take a look at the file. When they did, within 3 months, they realized it had criminal ramifications and sent it on to the OPP. 3 months. The irony to that, of course, is the Thunder Bay Police had it for 5 years and did nothing. You really got to wonder.
Julian, what do you see as happening next with this whole process and investigation?
Well, this is make it up as you go. I've never seen it. I've been at this for 30 years as a lawyer. I'm sorry, Dennis, I'm a bit of an old fart. I've been at it for 30 years. I've never seen anything so circuitous and tortured. It's simply proof positive that Indigenous deaths in Thunder Bay don't matter. And so it's anybody's guess what's next. I'm hopeful that the OPP do a good job. I think they're trying. I think it's a good example of what can happen if you hire a police service that's responsible to people outside of the Thunder Bay borders. Because understand, Dennis, the real problem with the Thunder Bay Police Service is they are precisely the police service that those in power in Thunder Bay want. There are many good people in Thunder Bay, but the ones in power in Thunder Bay, this is the police service they want. And so they'll never change, right? And when an organization like the OPP, responsible outside of the boundaries of Thunder Bay, gets involved, hey, you might even get some competent policing, some racist-free policing. You might even get a proper death investigation. I'm sounding facetious. I apologize, but this is utterly in the land of the ludicrous. 6 years later. And to this day, you have other Indigenous deaths. There are 9 deaths that this Broken Trust OIPRD team claims to be investigating. Guess who sits on the executive committee investigating these deaths? You guessed it, Chief Sylvia Hoff of the Thunder Bay Police Service. In other words, to this day, this leader of the Thunder Bay Police Service doesn't get what conflict of interest means. Like, apparently she doesn't have a dictionary where she can look up the words conflict of interest. And so she sits, and her lawyer and her are directly involved in producing a report into the other 9 deaths. What possibly can come from this but more, other than more cover-up? It's just embarrassing.
And they keep pushing the date back on those reinvestigations too. Julian, we'll have to leave it there, but appreciate you taking some time for us here today.
My pleasure, Dennis.
We reached out to the Thunder Bay Police Service and told Police Chief Sylvie Hoth is not in a position to offer a statement at this time. Time now for another quick break, but first a look at a story we're working on.
I'm Charlotte Morit-Jacobs, reporting from Sambake, Yellowknife. After months of searching and stalemate, a location has been finalized for a new temporary day shelter. But it came with "not in my backyard" rhetoric.
Given the urgent need to provide essential services, we now need to take the extreme step of declaring a local state of emergency.
We'll get reaction to the news from frontline workers and hear from traditional councillors on how Northern Indigenous-led initiatives could be looked to as models in healing.
Not enough of those government officials, I'm putting it out right now, that they don't come around much.
That story coming up soon on APTN National News.
Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. And our thanks to Matt LeMay, who sent us this great photo of the Osoyoos First Nation Band Office, located near Oliver, British Columbia. Matt was able to use his drone for this amazing view of the incredible scenery. It almost looks fake. Thanks, Matt. Send your photos to share at aptn.ca for the chance to be featured as our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the east coast, 9 in St. John's with rain, 13 and rain in Halifax. Rain in Nain and a high of 5, 8 with showers for Happy Valley Goose Bay. Sunny and 17 in Montreal, 6 with showers in Chibougamau. 14 in Sault Ste. Marie, 13 and cloudy in North Bay. 10 in Thunder Bay, 6 with rain in Sioux Lookout, +3 with showers in God's Lake, sunny and 3 in Norway House. 7 under sunny skies in Winnipeg, 1 degree cooler for Dauphin. Sunny and 6 in Regina, 9 and sunny in North Battleford. Sunny and 5 for Uranium City, Stony Rapids, and Buffalo Narrows. In northern Alberta, 9 in Fort McMurray, 10 in Grand Prairie. 13 and sunny for Edmonton and Lethbridge. Showers and 14 in Vancouver and Victoria. 12 and cloudy in Prince George, sunny and 5 in Fort Nelson. -8 in Old Crow, +4 for Whitehorse. 4 with showers in Yellowknife, +1 in Norman Wells. 0 in Sax Harbor, +3 for Paulatuck. -2 with snow in Arviette, 3 below in Baker Lake. Snow and -3 in Resolute, -6 with snow in Iqaluit. Residential school survivor Geraldine Shingoose spent part of her first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation waiting for a phone call from the Prime Minister. The day before, she had received an urgent request to have her name added to a list of survivors the PM might call. Shingoose, who is our guest on a new episode of Face to Face tonight, never did receive that call and felt even more degraded after finding out Justin Trudeau went on a vacation that day.
It surely shows his privilege, but it also shows our history with Canada. Like, you know, Canada, they sent us to boarding school, like, you know, and they hid that secret. And it's almost like he's continuing to hide that secret by going and, like, you know, on a vacation on this most important day for all of us survivors. Like, you know, it was really disheartening, very disrespectful.
And you can catch our entire interview with Geraldine Shingoose on Face to Face in less than 2 minutes' time. That is all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Tuesday. Tune in tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Time for In Focus. Host Melissa Ridgen will be shining the spotlight on Indigenous entrepreneurs. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for being with us. Have a great night.